The Fluoromizer 3000 is a low-cost, state-of-the-art refrigerant recovery system designed to recover R12 refrigerant vapor from mobile air conditioning systems. This presentation is meant to familiarize you with how to properly utilize this equipment to perform recovery functions and is presented in 6 parts. Part 1 is an introduction which summarizes the qualifications for personnel to operate this system and covers some general safety instructions. Part 2 is a product orientation, which covers the components of the system. Part 3 will cover pre-operational tasks performed by the technician prior to operating the unit. Part 4 covers the operation of the Fluoromizer 3000. Part 5 will cover tasks that are performed after recovery operations. And Part 6 will summarize the material that was covered in the presentation. The instructions that will be covered in this video are targeted toward qualified personnel who have been trained and are experienced in the handling of refrigerants. Personnel who have not received any formal training or are not licensed as required in some states should not attempt to interpret these instructions or operate this equipment. It is important that qualified personnel view this presentation and read the equipment's instructions before operating this unit, as failure to follow proper operating procedures could result in personal injury. As with any piece of equipment that has the potential to cause personal injury, there are certain basic safety precautions that must be observed. The first is, get to know your equipment. All personnel should read the operation manual to learn the proper installation and operational procedures, as well as becoming familiar with any of the equipment's limitations and specific potential hazards. Another safety rule to follow is to ground all equipment. This unit is equipped with a 3-prong grounding type power cord and plug for use in a grounded receptacle. The green wire is your ground line, and if repairs are needed to the power cord, do not connect it to a hot side. When required, use proper extension cords to ensure maximum equipment operating efficiency. Reference this chart to help you choose the correct extension cord for your particular application. Avoid dangerous environments. Make sure the unit is secured when working above floor level. Do not operate this equipment in damp or wet locations or expose it to rain. Do not use this equipment in the vicinity of spilled or open gasoline or other flammables. Another safety precaution to follow is to always disconnect the unit from its power source before performing any servicing procedures. Make sure that the equipment system switch is set to off before connecting the unit to a power source. To ensure safe operation of this equipment, always make any needed repairs to defective components. Use only those accessories recommended in the operation manual and follow the accompanying instructions to prevent improper use, which could result in damage to the equipment. Use extreme caution anytime you are connecting or disconnecting refrigerant hoses. Improper usage may result in refrigerant burns. If you experience a major refrigerant leak during the connecting or disconnecting process, leave the area immediately. The self-sealing hose provided with this equipment will prevent excess refrigerant from venting while disconnecting the discharge hose. In this part of the presentation, you'll be introduced to the items and accessories that make up the Fluoromizer 3000. At the heart of the refrigerant recovery system is the Fluoromizer 3000 itself. Then there are the self-sealing refrigerant hoses, a standard Department of Transportation recovery tank, a 150 milliliter beaker, a throttling valve, and an optional filter dryer. The first step in the pre-operational tasks is to make the necessary electrical connections. Uncoil the yellow umbilical cord in the rear of the unit and connect it to the overfill sensor on the recovery cylinder. Uncoil the power cord and connect it to a grounded power outlet. The next task in the pre-operational steps is to check the compressor oil level. This needs to be done prior to each usage. An overfilled or underfilled compressor oil sump can result in a stalled or seized compressor. First, put on safety goggles and gloves. Next, tighten the cap on the inlet port. Set the system switch to on. Close the bypass valve and run the fluoromizer until it automatically shuts off. Set the system switch to off. Remove the compressor oil port brass service cap. Tilt the unit about 1.5 inches so that the oil level is at the same level as the compressor oil port. Allow excess oil to drain from the port. Place the brass cap back on the compressor oil port as this completes the process. If no oil had drained, see the operation manual for filling instructions. The next step in the pre-operational tasks is connecting the refrigerant hoses. First, connect the red hose from the fluoromizer's outlet port to the vapor port on the DOT recovery cylinder. Install the throttling valve to the inlet port on the fluoromizer. Next, connect the blue hose from the fluoromizer's inlet port to the low-pressure port on the mobile air conditioning system. Note, if required, you could connect a filter dryer in between these 2 points at this time. This completes the pre-operational tasks that must be performed on the fluoromizer. Now that the equipment has been checked out prior to operation and all hose and cable connections have been made, it's time to put the Fluoromizer 3000 into operation. The first step is to open the unit's bypass valve to equalize the compressor. Next, open the vapor valve on the recovery cylinder. Open the throttling valve by turning it clockwise until you get a reading in the range of 60 to 100 psig of R12 on the suction gauge. Now close the throttling valve by turning it fully counterclockwise. Set the fan switch to the on position. Note, the fan will not activate until the system switch is turned on. Next, set the system switch to on. Now, slowly close the bypass valve. The reading on the suction gauge will start to fall. Open the throttling valve until desired suction pressure is obtained. Note, do not exceed maximum operating pressure, as illustrated in the operation manual and on top of the unit. Closely monitor the suction gauge and LED display. During operation, the suction gauge will slowly fall until a 15-inch mercury vacuum is reached. The unit will automatically shut off, and the yellow LED will light. When these indicators are observed, it signifies that the evacuation is complete. Close the vapor valve on the recovery cylinder, and then close the throttling valve. All that remains is to disconnect all hoses, as this completes the recovery process. With the recovery process finished, there remain only a couple of post-operational tasks that must be accomplished to wrap up. Remove the throttling valve from the inlet port and install it on the oil separator drain. Drain the oil from the oil separator port into the 150 milliliter beaker. Take note of the amount of oil in the beaker. Now replace that same amount of oil removed from the mobile air conditioning system with new compressor oil as specified by the manufacturer. All that remains is to dispose of the oil that was extracted from the system in accordance with approved disposal regulations. As you have seen, using the Fluoromizer 3000 refrigerant recovery system is straightforward and simple. The unit is totally self-contained and provides all required peripherals. To summarize, the operation of this system can be broken down into 5 main tasks. Check the compressor oil level. Properly connect refrigerant hoses and electrical cables. Operate the recovery unit using the operation manual and instructions that are on the side of the unit. Drain and measure oil removed from the mobile air conditioning system. And add new compressor oil to the system. It is suggested that you review this video periodically as a matter of keeping these procedures fresh in your mind. And you can also use it in your on-site training of new personnel. By referring to this video, the operation manual, and the instructions on the side of the unit, you will experience efficient and trouble-free operations whenever using the Fluoromizer 3000 in performing your refrigerant recovery functions. If you have any questions on this system or for ordering parts or service, call 1-800-995-7478.